Average day as I wake up, and generally I will come out here to my garden and I will water, get my solar panels where they need to be to catch the sun for that portion of the day. It was just the coolest thing that I could plant some seeds and wait, I don't know, a couple of months probably. It wasn't that long. And you pick your radish up out of the deal. You go in and wash it off and cut the little root ends off and things like that at the top, and you eat it. I want like maybe 10, 12 max on this little thing. It's like magic, you know? It's just, I can't understand it. It's just something, like I say, it's just something I like to do. Garden, I like to do it. So I think maybe it was, I want to say 1 year, where that would be one season. I didn't do it. You know, when I got my leg cut off and I really couldn't get outside a whole lot. I had something pop up on my little toe. And it was just this area that was about maybe the size, see my fingernail there? Maybe that size. And it was black and scaly. And he says, "Sir, I'm sorry you got gangrene in your foot." He says, "You need to get something done with this immediately." My doctor, Dr. West, he looks at it, he says, "Yeah, I think we can fix that." Okay, so they try and do it, what they call a bypass. We did that, and the first one failed. So we did a second one. And everything just exploded and got more infected. I apparently almost bled out. Then they said, "Well, we got to do something about your leg because it was even more infected."
Because I'm going to make an adjustment to my prosthetic limb.
They'd already doped me up for going into the third surgery. And they said, he came to me and he says, "You know, Mr. Blake," he says, "I'm sorry. If you keep your leg, you're going to die. And if you cut it off, you'll live." Then he actually asked me, he says, "Do you need a couple of days to think about that?" And I was already doped up on the gurney, getting ready to go back to have surgery. I looked at him and I said, "No, fire up the bandsaw, let's go." And he just looks at me and he says, "Well, no one's ever said that to me before." And I said, "Well, now they have, let's go." So they amputated my leg, and of course I woke up and, you know, without the leg. I said, "Okay, well, I'll just do the best I can with what I got." I got my prosthetic limbs and things like that. I was at church and one of our associate pastors and I were talking. I said, "Jerry, do they have facilities for people like me?" And he says, "What do you mean, people like you?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm handicapped." He says, "No, Stephen, you're not handicapped. You're just a guy without a leg." And he turns around and walks off. And I stood up and I yelled at him across the sanctuary, "Jerry, I am stealing that." So I stole that from my pastor. He said I could use it. So anyway, that's where I got that. Now, you're not handicapped. You're just a person without a leg or an arm. I hate the word handicap. You know, that's something that they want to stick on us. That's a label that they want to stick on you. That, well, you can't do it because you're handicapped. No, you know, forget that. I can do it, okay? It's just I may do it slower, I may do it different, but I can still do it. And the deal is you don't want to try and put people down. You want to try and lift people up. I find that, you know, being called a handicapped person that's not right. So now, did I get the handicapped parking spots? I did for a while, then it expired, and well, you know, and I got my legs, and well, I can walk across the parking lot. It's not a big deal. Let's save that for, I don't know, how about military amputees or people who've been in the military? I would rather honor them that way. But for me, I choose not to be handicapped. Okay, I choose that. That's me. And if that ruffles feathers, I don't care. Because I don't care what other people think. I go to a Christian men's conference at the Texas Motor Speedway. I'm going to the back of this really long line, and this guy comes up behind me. I'm Stephen, he's Jay. And he says, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm a retired engineer. Didn't mention anything else about it. And I said, what do you do, Jay? And he says, I design and build prosthetics. He says, for amputees. And I looked at him and I said, oh, really? I said, well, check this one out. And we're in a hoity-toity place. I pull my leg up and I'm showing him my Martin Bionic socket, and I look back up at him, and him and his wife are just looking at each other, grinning ear to ear, because I'm telling him all about it. And I stand back up and I said, what? And he says, Stephen, I'm Jay Martin. I designed that leg. That's how I met Jay. And so he called me up the day after Christmas, and he says, I want you to come to work for me. They asked me to come to work at Slingshot to basically help amputees. And that's, I would come out of retirement for that. In fact, I did. So, which is really, it's really an honor and a privilege to get to do that. Because I find that a lot of them that I get to talk to, they don't know, they're recent amputees, and they haven't been educated on the processes that need to happen before you can get a leg. I just don't want them making the same mistake I did, because I did that. I want to get back on my feet. I understand that. Come here, let me see what days they are. It's a shame that each amputee has got to be an advocate for themselves, because every amputee is different. I can understand why people get depressed, and I understand a little bit why they try and isolate themselves. Amputees, they have to get among fellow amputees.
Do we have any ampiversaries this month? Stephen got an anniversary?
Yeah, April 2nd, 2019. So
Okay.
7 years.
7 years.
Yep.
7 years.
Yeah.
But you've learned a lot in the last 7 years. Huh?
You wouldn't believe it.
Do you have the 7-year itch?
7 years, all right.
For the first 6 years, I didn't know groups like this existed. I had no idea. Nobody told me. There are people without arms here, and people like me without legs, and we have shared experiences. The meat-leggers, they don't understand, Most of them are really kind-hearted people, but they don't understand what it's like to wear your limb or have phantom pain or things like that. They just don't understand that. There's things that amputees can answer, questions that amputees can answer for other amputees. And that's very important. To me, this is just something that happens. It's just a chapter of my life that I'm going through. And that's all it is.